So hello and welcome back to another video. Yes, we are smiling because we are out fishing. We're currently just coming to the end of my session, my last session on this lake I might add. But where are we? I'm at Float Fish Farm, which is based in Peterborough. Now this is a complex of lakes which boasts a bit of everything really. There really is something for everybody here. Whether you're a beginner, a serious match angler or a specimen hunter like myself, there really is a bit of something for everybody. There's even some good catfishing to be had on one of the other lakes. Now I don't know too much information about the other lakes because I have had my sights set on the lake which is behind me at the moment, and that is the Specimen Lake, and it is called Lapwing Lake. Now this place, it fell on me by surprise really. I was scrolling through Facebook and I seen a picture on there of somebody holding a 40-pounder, and I thought, Float Fish Farm, I've never heard of that, which led me to do a little bit of digging and investigating, and I visited the website and I found the place, and I thought, well, I need somewhere to fish while my syndicate is closed for spawning, and I fancied a change, you know. I'm sick of going to the same old day tickets. So that is what led me here, and I was very pleasantly surprised when I got here. Now to come and fish here, it is really simple really. You just go onto the website and you actually book your swim and your session on the website, and it is really easy. You can check out with PayPal. Midweek it's £30 a night, and the weekend it's £35 a night. Now when I originally arrived here, I was arriving blind. I didn't really know anything about the lake at all really, other than the size and how many fish was in here. But the one thing which I really wanted to know was how many big fish was in here. Obviously I knew that there was one 40-pounder, but now, you know, I've been here 4 times now. This is the last trip that I'm going to have because my syndicate will be opening very soon. And I found out there is definitely at least 4 40-pounders in here, and I had my sights set on catching one of them. So yes, this is where the video is going to start. I hope you enjoy it. Sit back, grab a cup of tea, get a beer and enjoy. We have got some good fishing to show you, and not only that, I have completed the challenge which I set out to do. All I wanted to do was to catch one of them 40-pounders, and I am very pleased to say that I have had one of them 40-pounders. So you're going to want to stay tuned to watch that. So yes, enjoy, and I shall see you very soon.
You've arrived at your destination.
So that was it then. I'd arrived to the lake for the very first time, and already the anticipation was building. That new lake buzz had really set in, and I just couldn't wait to start having a look around the lake. So here I am situated in swim 6. This is the swim that I booked whilst I was at home. I was a little sceptical about doing this, however I decided to choose one of the corners, and that's where I started. Well, good afternoon. The rods are out there and we are fishing. Now, it has taken me some time to get to this point, let me tell you. I really have spent a lot of time leading about out there, and that's just because the amount of silkweed, it is absolutely snide with it out there. And to be quite honest, I haven't found a clear spot at all whatsoever that I can present a normal rig over. Because of that, you know, by about an hour and a half I was getting pretty fed up of searching around. My hands had gone green from the amount of silkweed that I'd keep taking off the lead. But I've settled on 2 areas. I say areas because, you know, they're not spots as such. It's just areas where the silkweed isn't as bad. Now, what I've done to actually combat that, to make sure that I'm presented, is I've switched over to a helicopter setup, and I'm fishing the bead about a foot away from the lead, and I'm fishing hinge stiff rigs on there, so you know that lead can plug into the silkweed and the rig can just settle nicely on top. You know, I'm not very keen on fishing a helicopter setup, if I'm totally honest. It's not something I use very often, but needs must in this situation. I can see why that guy that I was watching on YouTube last night switched over to chod rigs, because it really does play on your mind. So yeah, I've got I'm fishing out in open water. I'm fishing 2 rods on one spot. That's at 9.5 wraps. It's sort of out to the centre of the lake, really. I'm guessing around about 11-12 wraps. It puts you right bang in the centre. So I've come a little bit shorter. I was told that there's a bar that runs across the lake at around about 10 wraps. However, I couldn't locate the bar, and I think that's just because of the silkweed being so savage. You can't get a proper pull back, so it's very hard to locate. I mean, to be honest, you get a drop no matter where you cast, but as soon as you pull it, you know that you're in weed. So that's that rod sorted. I put out about 3 kilos of boilies over that. I've used the spawn to bait up with because there is a bit of a crosswind coming across, and I'm using quite small baits. I'm using 12mm baits. At the moment, I'm just going to stick with the boilie approach. There's some nice fish in here, some big fish, and you know, I have got some pellets with me. You know, any sort of new fishery or new fish, you know, you always expect them to be reared on pellets, but that was half my thinking with going in with the smaller boilies, because they do replicate pellets as well, the colour of them, and I have huge confidence in the maxi nut. And then whilst I was setting up, I did see a fish actually show quite close in, and I had a lead about in that area, and that's fishing out at 5 wraps. That, believe it or not, is the best spot that I've found. It's still got silkweed there, but it seems to be clearer than everything else around it. I still can't get away with fishing a, you know, a conventional bottom bait rig over there. I just wouldn't feel confident that I'm presented, so that's gone out on the helicopter setup and the hinge rig as well. I am fishing a match the hatch, and that's my starting point really. Obviously I've not got anything to go on apart from that little YouTube video that I watched. He was putting out particle and manila boilies, and it, you know, I think he had 2 bites in a 48-hour session, but he didn't catch until his second night. Now when I arrived here, I did bump into a couple of chaps, and they give me a bit of information. It was them that told me the bar is out there at around about 10 wraps. Had a good chat with them. They was both nice chaps, and they told me that they had a fish apiece, and he showed me a couple of pictures on his phone. He had a 31 mirror, and his friend had a like an ornamental koi type thing. I think it was like an upper double, but it looked a lovely fish. So yeah, that's, you know, hopeful and promising. A 30-pounder coming out. I didn't really ask him what the stock is or anything like that, but he did tell me that the big one does go at 48 pound or so, and there is a possibility, you know, that could come out at 50 pound as we speak. I mean, it's the beginning of May now. You know, we're coming up to spawning. Rosemere that I normally fish, that's just closed for spawning. So yes, all is to play for. It feels it's quite a nice fishery, this. It's the complex itself, it's quite a nice setup. You've got everything here. There's a lot of facilities. You've got toilet block, tackle shop, like a cafe food bar, whatever you want to call it. Like a little food hut. I passed one of them on the way in as well, and there's something to suit everybody. There's tench ponds, silver ponds, mixed ponds, bloody there's a lake with catfish in it. There's carp ponds, you know, you can build your way up on, and then this one being the specimen one. This is the one that caught my attention more than the rest. Obviously if there's a few decent fish in here, I'm happy. So yes, that's where I'm up to. I'm going to stop waffling on, I'm going to watch the water, and I shall keep you updated. If nothing happens this evening, it'll be in the morning when we have a catch up, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got it right. Well, it is dark o'clock, as you can see. In fact, I was actually fast asleep when this went off. It's just gone 11 o'clock, and let me tell you, there was no warning with this rod. It just absolutely peeled off. It went into meltdown. It really did. Scared the life out of me. And I've got a nice, lovely, long common. Real hard fighting machine he was. He absolutely rooked like mad. And he's a lovely fish. He's got a distinctive mark on his gill plate. Apparently there's a few grass carp in here, and I thought it might have been one of them the way it fought, but no, sure enough. It's really good to get off the mark quickly, and not only that, it's settled my nerves a little bit as to tactics, rig choice, you know. It's not often I put a helicopter rig out there, but it was the right decision, and I am so pleased I have. Anyway, enough waffling, let's get this bad boy up. And there he is, look. Just look how long he is. Absolute dinosaur of a fish. Thick-skinned, withered fins, withered tail, a real funny shaped mouth. I tell you what, he was absolutely nailed. He wasn't coming off. Oh yeah, I am well pleased with him. Spin him round. Oh, and there's the other side. That's his better side. He's got a bit of a mark on the other side and underneath as well. It's like he's had a scrape of some sort, but I'll treat that before we slip him back, and hopefully we get another one. Anyway, I'm going to get him back. He's going mental. So the first morning was soon upon us. The night drifted away quite quickly, to be honest, but I was really pleased to get off the mark so quickly, and I felt like I'd settled in nicely. However, that day did bring a lot of change with it, and it did also bring another bite that morning, but it was one of them where I got it all the way to the net, and then it was like slow motion, the hook just popped out. I was pretty wounded, to be honest, as it looked a very tidy mirror, a good upper 20 at least. But I didn't lose my head. I stuck to what I was doing, got some more bait back out there and refreshed the rods. I knew with this change of weather that was coming in, it was going to bring at least another bite. There's something quite therapeutic about sitting in a bivvy whilst it's hammering it down outside. And not only that, a nice bit of cuisine makes it even better too. Oh, yeah boy. It didn't take too long for the bad weather to pass, and it wasn't long before the sun was soon on the horizon, and it looked lovely out there. Better not lose this one. God, I tell you what, they don't half fight hard in here. Well, we're coming into late afternoon now, and we've had another chance. The old margin spot's done another bite. That's the one fishing out at 5 wraps, and a bit of an ornamental carp, this one, and he absolutely tore off. If I'd have lost this fish, I'd have said it was a lot bigger. It's not as big as the fish I did lose, mind you. However, he is a really lovely fish, and he's just gone £16, £16 on the button, I might add as well. There we go, check him out. Proper little character. He's very welcome indeed, he really is. Yeah. Looks like an old match fish again. Withered fins, crusty tail. Mouth's not too bad on this one though. Well, I do hope there's another chance yet. One of them bigger ones would be lovely. I'd really like to get one of the 30s out of here. I know that there's definitely a couple of 40s, but one of them 30s would be lovely. It really would. But I can't ask for anything more, you know. 3 bites, it's my first time here. Really didn't have any assumptions as to what was actually in here before I got here, other than what it said on the website with fish up to £48. You know, it doesn't really narrow it down, does it? So yes, slip this one back, see if we can't winkle another one out. Well, it definitely seemed that we got the tactics right now, and really all I could do was just press that repeat button. But the next morning saw bright sunshine arrive and high pressure, but nothing happened through the night, which I was quite surprised about. So what I did is I just decided to put a little bit of bait over each rod and put fresh hook baits out there as well, just in the hope that I could entice a bite before we leave at 1 o'clock. And the little buggers kept me waiting right up until the very last minute, and then this happened. Well, you're not going to believe it. Everything is packed away, just the rods left in. I'd already done a piece to camera saying that, you know, I've tried my hardest to get that last bite, and then I was just about to go walk and reel and pick the rod up, and it went. I couldn't believe it. Oh, best fish of the trip as well. It's just gone over £30. £30 and 2 ounces. Looks like it's ready for spawning, this one. Proper short little fat thing. A mirror. But am I a happy boy now? Oh, and he's shitting out my bait. Oh, that'll do. Proper fat thing. Call this one Gutty, I think. Oh, but anyway, what I did say to the camera, what I said was basically my syndicate's going to be closed for the next couple of months, so I think I'm going to come and have a couple more trips on here. It'd be rude not to become acquainted with some of the residents that reside in here, especially if this one's anything to go by. Well, what a way to finish. A 30-pounder just as I was packing up. You couldn't write it, could you? And what a way to round the trip off. It really was a nice welcome to the lake, and already my mind was thinking about the next trip. In fact, once I got home, the first thing I did was have a look on the online booking, and sure enough I managed to get myself booked back on. Now this did come with some sacrifice, as it meant arriving to the lake after a 12-hour night shift, so I did arrive quite tired. But it didn't take much to keep me going. That new lake buzz was still flowing, and not only that, the anticipation of what lies ahead. So here we go then. Another 2 weeks have passed now, and I've arrived for the second trip. Now I've got myself situated in peg 3. I really wanted to get in this swim, especially after my last trip. I spent all the time that I was in peg 6 wishing that I was down this end of the lake. There was loads of fish boshing out in front of this swim, so as you can imagine, I was pretty eager to get going. So that is it then, the rods are out there and we are fishing. The heavens are just starting to open as we speak. You can actually see that weather front coming in and the rain is picking up, so I'm going to have to try and keep this quick, but I wanted to get this update done before I make myself comfortable. But the rods have been out there for a couple of hours now and I am feeling rather confident with what I've done, and especially with what I found out there. I was quite surprised. There is loads of spots out there, and I've actually picked 3 different areas, so to speak, of. I've got one really tight up to the reeds in about 5 foot of water. I've got one which is just off the peninsula, which drops down the shelf, that's in the deep water, and then I've got one which is out fishing on a gravel bar. So I've got like 3 bases covered. I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket, although I am fishing the same on all the rods. I just didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket, so I've got sort of 3 options there, and I can sort of gauge it and feel my way into the session. But so far, as we speak, the lake is actually fully booked at the moment. Every swim is taken and I haven't seen anybody catch a fish yet, so it's all to play for. It does look like things are very tricky at the moment, but this is how it seemed last time I was here. There was long periods of times between the bites, but when the bites come, you know, you could have like maybe a couple of bites. It certainly seemed that way, because whenever I'd have a bite, I'd notice somebody else would get a bite. That's that kind of thing. So yes, I've actually gone out there with quite a lot of bait. After my last trip, you know, it's sort of, I've come back with a bit of a better idea, and last time I put out 8 kilos over the 48-hour period that I was here. So yes, I have got plenty of bait with me, but I've started off with 12 medium spoms over each rod. The one that's closest to the reeds, I'm having a bit of bother on that rod with the coots. Yes, they are relentless at the moment because they've all got young and they're just constantly looking for food. So yes, I've already been picked up once by that and had to replace it. But not only that, I come all prepared with the hinge stiff rigs, thinking I was going to be fishing pop-ups in the silt again, and I'm not. I've actually got my favourite take anywhere rig and wafter rigs out on all 3 of them. So yeah, pretty made up about that, to be quite honest. Confident in what I'm doing, confident in the bait, and obviously after last time I already know that it works in here. I think it's just a matter of time before them fish switch on. At the moment it definitely seems like the majority of the fish are showing up that end of the lake, but my friend David is in peg 1 and he's lost a fish. He's been here for just over 24 hours now. He's got 24 hours left, and since he's been here he's managed 1 bite, but he did lose it. But it's looking rather good for him up there at the moment, so fingers crossed he can catch one. But down here I've not seen the fish show, but I have had a couple of liners since put the rods out, so you know, they're definitely not all up there. And it was like that before, you know. I was in peg 6 and the guy that was in here, see, there was a liner then. Yeah, the guy that was in here had fish boshing all over him. I was in peg 6, didn't really see much out in front of me, but I'd get the odd liner and the odd bite. So yeah, they definitely do move around, and just because you're not seeing them doesn't mean that they're not there. Oh, I've just seen a fish come up about 2 rod lengths out. It looked like a very small fish. I wonder if that's what gave me a bleep. Anyway, I'm waffling on and I'm getting wet. It's time for me to sit back and make myself comfortable, because believe me, I am feeling very tired at the moment. Sometimes I wonder to myself, why do I do it? But then an extra night's fishing, say no more. If I can squeeze an extra night in, or come, you know, after work, if that's what I need to do, that is what I need to do. Fishing comes first. I'll get some sleep later on. Wish me luck. Cup of tea time. Well, good morning, and you are dealing with a very tired Paul this morning, let me tell you. A very, very quiet night, far too quiet for my liking, but it was very noticeable that the fish did migrate up that end of the lake last night. And I've had a broken sleep, and this morning, the only way I can describe it is I feel like I've got a bloody hangover, because I was overly tired going to bed, and then broken sleep, up and down, God knows how many times I woke up. I think that's just the anticipation of something happening. But nonetheless, it's morning now, and things are starting to change, which is why I'm turning the camera on, to be quite honest. Up until now, you know, I haven't really found any inspiration to turn the camera on, let's put it that way. But my good friend Dave, who was in Peg 1, he has had a couple of fish, albeit small fish, especially by the stamp that I had last time that I was here. It definitely seems like them big fish are moody at the moment. He's had a couple of mid-doubles. The guy that was next door to me in Peg 2, prior to me arriving, he had a 10-pounder and a 12-pounder. Now that's all that I know of that's been out in the past couple of days, which is, you know, it's not great for this lake, I'll be totally honest. It makes me think that them big uns are moody. But anyway, going back to what's out there at the moment, this morning I got up, I sat and watched the water for an hour or so. There wasn't here this morning, so I went back to bed for a bit. But since getting back up, I've had some breakfast, the wind has picked up a bit, the weather's quite intermittent at the moment, but it's brought the fish down this end. In the last hour or so, I've seen fish right down in the corner, a couple of fish coming out, and out in open water where that gravel bar runs across. Before I seen them fish in the corner, actually, I was getting a couple of savage liners on the middle rod, and I'm thinking I'm fishing too far out on that rod. But anyway, I've decided to leave them 2 rods there, but I have moved the one off of the reeds and put it right down in that bay. It's lovely and clear, that bay, to be quite honest. You can present anywhere down there. But I'm fishing it at 10, just short of 11 wraps it is to take me right down into that corner. 10 3/4 I think it actually is. But what I've done with that one is I've just spread 12mm baits all across that zone, so I'm not fishing a tight spot, I've just spread it in the zone to try and hold them there basically. So I've not long just done that, and then I've topped up with a bit of bait on both the one that's fishing out on the gravel bar and the one that's fishing towards the islands. It's actually fishing towards the conifers on the far side, that, fishing at 11.5 wraps, lovely clean clay area that is. And then that gravel bar, that's fishing at 9.5 wraps, and it's to the big tree, which is over in swim 5. That's a lovely clean spot as well. So yeah, I feel really confident now the fish have started showing and that. I must admit, when I got up this morning, I was a little bit deflated that nothing had happened. And then to sit there for an hour or so and not see anything happening out there, I was thinking, oh, it's prime time and there's no fish showing. But I think it's just a matter of time now. Fingers crossed. Come on. Just one of them big uns will do me. That'll do me just fine. Well, I shall keep you updated, but I've kept my foot on the gas. I've reacted to what I've seen. I feel like I'm doing all I can do. It is evident that it is quite tricky at the moment, but I think we'll have one. Well, I don't quite believe it. Not long after turning the camera off, I turned the camera around, set it back up in the swim, and then 5 minutes later, beep, 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 the left-hander, one down in the bay, is just gone. I've got an angry common, very long and lean he is, and he's just gone £19 1 ounce, but I'm off the mark. I'm a happy boy now. Can relax and see if we can make something else happen. Well, he really doesn't want to be picked up, but there he is. Long, lean fighting machine that's beating me up as well. And there's the other side. He's got quite a distinctive smudge mark on him there. Certainly recognise that one if I caught him again. He's going to go again. Oh, anyway, I'm going to slip him back, see if we can't make something else happen. Well, I really was pleased to land that one, because up until this point it had been rather frustrating. But with the fish still present in the area, I felt confident that another bite was on the cards. So it was time to whip the rods in, get some fresh hook baits on, and not only that, get a little bit more bait out there. Now the two rods that I haven't received a bite on, they didn't get much bait. However, the rod down in the bay, that received a good hit of bait, that did. Well, good evening, and as you can see, it's dark o'clock. In fact, it's just coming up to midnight, and I've just received a bite on the one that's fishing out towards that peninsula of the island. First bite I've had on that rod, so I'm quite pleased about that, knowing I've got two spots working. But he's not a big fish. He's just gone £18 on the nose, but he's a lovely looking mirror, and he really did give a good account of himself as well. So yes, let's get him up, and I shall get him back, because he is very angry, just like the last one. Oh, he's behaving himself. There we go. Hopefully we can catch something a bit bigger. It would be lovely. I'm going to put some more bait out there before I go back to bed. Hopefully it's not the last chance we get before we have to leave tomorrow. And there we go. Lovely jubbly. Right, slipping back, bait up, and then back to bed for me. see her. Well, good morning, and it is still early and the left hand rod has not long rattled off. I've been up since first light watching the fish showing, a couple in the bay but out in front of me as well, so I was very anxious of a bite. I did rebait this rod about an hour ago now. It's taken that long for it to rattle off, and they are getting smaller, and we have got a right character to show you. Bit of a koi, this one. And there we go, look. What he lacks in size, he makes up for in looks. Proper little character, isn't he? But still, it's another bite, and hopefully it's not the last bite. He is a nice looking fish nonetheless. Let's slip him back and see if we can't winkle another bite out. Off you go, pal. Well, despite the conditions looking absolutely mad for it, that was to be the last bite for the trip. With only a few hours left, I had to get packed up. So let's move it on another couple of weeks, and I was back down to the lake. This time I got myself booked into Peg 5. Now this is the central zone of the lake, a very good area by all accounts. So as always, it was out with the leading rod first, to become acquainted with what was out there in the swim, and it became very apparent that there was a lot more silkweed in this area. But it didn't take me too long to locate some spots, and I decided on fishing short with 2 rods and one just short of the bar out in the centre of the pond. Now I decided on a couple of changes for this trip, and the first one was going to be solid bags. And not only that, I was going all out on the ASM this trip. It was still going to be an all-out boilie approach with 12mm baits, however with them boosted solid bags over the top this time instead. Now I decided on a fairly moderate baiting approach this time. I put the spom out there, but that was just there for a marker really, and decided to bait up with a catapult. I could get a nice spread of the 12mm baits, and I probably put around about 1 kilo over each rod. So that is it then. The rods are out there and we are fishing, feeling confident as always. I've found some lovely spots out there. I was quite surprised that when what I did to begin with, I wrapped up at 10.5 wraps and I put it straight out onto the bar. I'm surprised how shallow it is on top. You don't even feel the drop because it's that shallow. But it is really it is really choddy on the top of that bar. I mean, you get away with the solid bags, you get away with hinge rigs still, but I thought it'd be a lot clearer, you know, with everybody talking about it and fishing it. It just seemed like it was going to be polished, but it wasn't. But anyway, what I've actually done is I've dropped back off of the bar. I've come just down this side of the bar, should we say, on my side of the bar, where it starts to drop off into the deeper water. It probably drops off into around about 5 foot there, and it just feels a lot better. The area is a lot cleaner. There is still siltweed there, but there's like little gaps and breaks between it when you're pulling through, so you know, it definitely seems like it's been fed on. That's what's in my mind anyway. That was the reason for selecting that spot. And the other two rods was very, very simple. They're both fishing at the same distance, 5 wraps and 2 foot. One out to the left, that's a bit shallower there. It's around about 4 foot there, and then one out to the right. Now that drops off into a lot deeper water. It actually feels like it's around 7 or 8 foot there. And in my mind, I've sort of got it in my mind that it's a bit of a gully as it comes down. Either that or that's just a deep hole and it's silty close in. But either or, you know, I didn't want to have all my eggs in one basket, and that deep hole, I've got high hopes for that, I really have. Now everything I got all prepared. I was well prepared in advance, even with the solid bags, you know. I've pre-tied 10 before I even got here. Everything is good to go. I will run through everything in a little more detail, but you know, it's pretty much the same. Everybody's bag mix is pretty much the same. In there I have got 2 different types of pellet. I've got a halibut and I've also got a low oil skretting pellet as well. Reason for that is breakdown time, and not only that, with the liquids that you add into it, it actually absorbs into the skretting better than it does the halibut. I find the halibut, it takes a very, very long time for them to absorb that water, so it is good to have a little bit of a mix. 2mm pellets though, nothing big in there. Have got a bit of boilie crumb, I've got a bit of beta stim. And then what I am doing is I'm finishing it off with 2 different liquids, but I'm not putting it actually in there as such. I'm actually squirting it into the bag. That's an old vape bottle. I forgot my syringe, so I tip what vape I had in this bottle and use this. This works a treat, just squirt it in. But in there it's a 50-50 mix of the ASM stim and the hemp oil. 2 reasons. One, because the ASM stim, it's really good, it penetrates into the bait, but the hemp oil, I quite like that at this time of year because it lets off little slicks and stuff, and you know when fish are feeding on your spot. So yeah, it's a good additive, that. And not only that, if you are fishing in any deeper water or whatever, hemp oil is actually quite good to add to the bag. You don't have to start using slow melt bags or double bagging then or anything like that. I mean, I've not got that problem here. It's just something which I do on deeper waters as well. So yeah, I'm fishing. So yeah, that's my bag mix. The pellets that I'm putting out, they're actually Coppens pellets, but these have been pre-soaked in the ASM stim as well. Also, I did that. I started them a couple of days before. The boilies I started 3 days before I arrived. I got them out of the freezer, give them 24 hours to thaw out, and then I went in heavily with the stim, and I just kept on rotating it, you know, every time I went in and out the garage sort of thing. And now all that stim is completely absorbed into the boilies. So I've got 5 kilo of boilies with me. I've got about 4 kilo of pellet there, and I've probably got about 4 kilo of bag mix, to be quite honest. But I've not gone in too heavy, like I said. I am starting to gain a bit of knowledge of this place now, but it certainly seems like there's a few fish feeding at the moment, because I am seeing the odd slick here and there. There's a few of us turned up at 1 o'clock. That's what time the changeover is. The guy in swim 2, the guy in swim 3, me in 5, and the guy that's in swim 4 to my right, we've all turned up today. So there's been a lot of commotion out there. But one thing that I did notice is the guy in peg 3 has not long had a fish, and he's the only person that hasn't spawned. He's used a throwing stick. So I've made a little mental note of that, you know, try and nick a quick bite. But I know that, and I also know that establishing the spot will work as well. But what I am thinking is, on bite time, say if we've just had a fish, of probably just putting that rod back out and just stick a few baits out, or fire a few with the catapult, rather than go straight out there with the spawn and possibly push the fish off. It does seem like that. It looks like the guy that's in peg 2 is into a fish. Yes, he is. There's a massive slick coming off of his spot as well. I can only imagine a group of fish have just moved in, smashed that spot up, and he's in straight away. So that's 2 quick fish. 2 quick fish. It's looking very promising. Let the ASM do the magic, is what I am saying. Feeling very confident. Good weather conditions as well. I just wish it wasn't so intermittent. It makes it a bit of a pain in the arse. Yes, there's a fish just showed right on the back of his slick line. Anyway, I mentioned that I went a bit lighter on the 2 close in rods, and that is so I've got an option of moving one of them too. Obviously I've backed right off of the bar, but it does seem like, you know, if the fish keep showing on that bar and are reluctant to feed off of it or whatever, I've got an option to move one. So that's the reason why I've done that. But for now, I'm happy. It's time to sit on my hands. I have put a bit of bait in, so I just need to let the fish come and join the party. Yes, high hopes. Well, we've just come up 6 o'clock now, and we've just had our first bite, and as predicted, it's the long rod. I've been seeing enough slicks coming up over there, and this one's not going to win any prizes for being good looking, let me tell you. He's got a mouth and a face that only a mother could love it, but it's a start, so I am rather happy. And I tell you what, it absolutely whizzed off, it really did. And it's got some bad attitude, let me tell you. It's going absolutely bonkers. Not a big fish neither, 15 pound and 4 ounces just gone. Proper crusty looking thing though. There seems to be quite a few commons in here that look like this. I've had 3 that look like this now. Yes, look at that mouth. Definitely been caught a few times, this one. It really has. And that's the other side. Pug nose, battered mouth, but it's one on the scores, and hopefully many more to come. Well, unfortunately, I didn't manage to get the bloody camera in time to get the bite, but that in there is a right donkey. Yes, one of the big uns from here. Can't wait to get it out, but for now, let's get that rod back out. Woo! Yes. Well, I just don't believe it. I really don't. I'd literally just put that common back. I walked back to the bivvy, sat down, turned round, and the left-hand rod was away. It just pulled up tight and started slowly ticking away, and we've got one of the big uns. I'm not sure which one it is yet, but it's just gone 42 pound 12 ounces. Get in there. Chuffed to bits is an understatement, it really is. One of the big uns from Lapwing already. I can't believe it. What a unit. I'm not sure which one it is. Really not. It could be single scale, because it's got a single scale there. But I'm not to know. I will find out though, but who cares? It's one of the 3 big uns that's in here. Are we ready? Are we ready for it? And just check that bad boy out. What a unit. 42 pounder. Get in. The sun is absolutely killing this photo. I can see. I do apologise, but oh my god. I wish this sun had behaved itself. And there's the other side. Whew. One happy angler, really am. The ASM always provides the goods everywhere you take it. What an absolute unit. Anyway, the sun is not doing it justice, but hopefully get some decent pictures. But for now, I'm gonna have to put him down because he's heavy. Well, isn't it strange how carp fishing turns out sometimes? 2 bites in very quick succession, and that 40 pounder turned out to be a fish known as cuttail, so I was really chuffed with that. But despite my best efforts, no more bites was forthcoming for the rest of that trip, and it was now time to move on to the next session. So here I am again. This time I've got myself situated in swim 1. Well, on the old tactics front, not a lot had changed really from the last session. I was back using the ASM and the 12mm baits. I was putting the spom out there to use as a marker and then baiting up with a catapult. The only real difference this time is I was back on the helicopter setup, fishing a take anywhere rig and also the hinge stiff because of the silkweed that was out in front of the swim. Now don't get me wrong, I located a couple of really clean areas, but for whatever reason them fish was really reluctant to feed on them areas, and this turned out to be the trickiest session so far. In actual fact, it wasn't until the last morning when I made it happen, and that was after a slight change of tactics. Oh, and there he is, look. I'm a happy boy now. Hopefully I can winkle out another bite. There's still a bit of time left and you just never know. Now we've found something that works. I've actually taken this fish from the left hand margin over thick silkweed. Yes, I have had to present in it. I've had to change my tactics slightly, but this is the result. Hopefully there is another chance in it. And there's the other side. It looks like he's got a few stories to tell, this one. Withered fins. Looks like he's got a little bit of spawning damage as well. But I'm going to slip him straight back and see if I can't make something else happen. Well, would you look at that? The sun is shining and I am just about to bring them rods in. So unfortunately that is it for this video, but before I go, a little synopsis of the place. I've really enjoyed my time on here. The 4 sessions that I've had have all been great sessions. This one has been the toughest yet. I do think I timed it right for the other trips, but you know, over the time that I have been here, you get talking to different people, and some people have told me just how hard this place can be. It can be very moody from time to time, and after this trip I can really see why, you know. I mean, I've got opinions as to why, weed growth, algae bloom, that sort of thing, but I think the main contributor to that is the amount of bait that goes in, you know. That some people turn up and really do fill it in here, and at times that really does work, but when it's like this, a bit moody, and you do that, it just makes it harder for other people to catch. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and that's what you get on everyday ticket. I mean, the way it's set out, you know, the way you book online and you book your swim and that, it takes a lot of that pressure away of getting to the lake and worrying about getting a swim and things like that. It really does relieve a lot of that pressure. And not only that, it's really comfortable here. You don't need to bring your barrows, you can park in every single swim. You're totally enclosed as well. There's an electric fence which runs around the lake. And to be honest, you don't really get that many people walking around. It's been very, very pleasant. It's had sort of like a syndicate feel to it. So yeah, I've enjoyed my time here, and I am very pleased to have set out and achieve what I wanted to get from the beginning, and that was to catch one of the 40s which resided in here. So I'm very pleased about that. And not only that, I have further learned that there is definitely 3 40-pound fish in here. There's a fish called the gut, which is the one that's been out at the biggest weight of 48. Then the split tail, the one that I had, and then there's another one called single scale. I have heard rumours that there's more in here, but definitely I know that there's 3 different ones. Obviously 2 I've seen somebody else catch the gut. Obviously I've caught split tail, and I've seen pictures myself of single scale, and they was all 40-pounders. So without relaying any wrong information, that is what you've got. I mean, you've got 6 acres of water with an average depth of 5 or 6 foot, and it is quite good fishing. The only things that, the niggly things really, that gets on your tits is the bloody birds. The birds make it an absolute nightmare on here. I mean, it is a perfect solid bag water, but with the amount in which them coots pick you up, it makes it very hard to fish the solid bag. So it certainly does for me anyway. I've just got alarm bells ringing that if they're picking it up, you know, it just ruins that presentation. But it's offered up a bit of different fishing for myself, because the way I fished, it's not often a way that I get chance to fish a lot, you know. Helicopter setup, it's not my favourite setup, I'll be totally honest, but it lends itself very well to the silkweed that's in here, and for the way you want to present. So yes, that pretty much sums it up really. It's time to whip them rods in for the last time. I will be coming back at some point, but when that will be, who knows. But for now, I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and as always, please show some appreciation. Hit that like button, say something in the comments below. I don't make any money from these videos, so any sort of appreciation is very much appreciated. And not only that, if you want to show some appreciation for the for this complex, so to speak of, give this video a share, you know, let other people know about it. The link is in the description box below, so you know, you can follow that if you want to book on for yourself. Midweek it's £30, and at the weekend it's £35. But for now, all I'm thinking about is the next trip out. My syndicate opens back up in 4 weeks time, but from now until then I've got another trip planned to Home Fen, and it is a 6-night trip that I am really looking forward to that. So that will be the next video that goes out on the channel. But for now, I am going to say bye, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.